Thank you, Randy, for teeing the day off, and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the third annual Southern Nevada Youth Homelessness Summit. Now, can I hear some noise if you're excited to be here? That sounded good up here. As we get the third summit underway, I can't help but be excited, energized, and hopeful. We've done so much as a community to address youth homelessness just in the last year. I want to take a second to have you guys look around the room. You're going to see many faces that look familiar, but you're also going to have the opportunity to make some new friends and connections because we have people from all around the country in attendance today. One day, I want to say all around the world in attendance today. I'm so excited for what we have in store today, both reflecting on last year's progress and keeping the momentum going today by taking actionable steps together to make even more progress toward our goal of ending youth homelessness in Southern Nevada. I've worked for and advocated on behalf of homeless youth for nearly 10 years, and nothing has been more rewarding or inspiring in my lifetime. It is an honor and duty to do my small part to create environments and platforms to show youth that their voices, experiences, and lives matter so much. My favorite times are when I get to work with youth directly. I'm constantly reminded how bright, resilient, and optimistic these youth are in the face of such unimaginable adversity. How they have so much talent, both raw and refined, waiting to be seen, heard, and experienced. Working with them is a reminder to myself and to all of us to make sure that we do the best possible job we can to go above and beyond, to make sure that they have the opportunities to be heard, to shine, and to contribute to our communities. I often joke, and sorry, Randy and Marita, I often joke that my real bosses aren't my board of directors, but rather the youth in Southern Nevada experiencing homelessness. Because that is how I feel. I feel so lucky and privileged to work alongside and for such amazing young people. It is moments like the one captured in this picture behind me that are creating opportunities for young people to share their expertise and make meaningful contributions. This is a moment where I was hanging out with some young leaders after we just wrapped up an afternoon of advocacy and legislative work. These young people were advocating to get a law passed and had been testifying directly to elected officials. Afterward, what did they want to do? They wanted to stop and get some ice cream. These are young leaders who are working alongside us to enact change for them. And they are doing this on top of their busy lives, whether they're pursuing education, whether they're working hard at a job, or pursuing other passions and talents, some of which you're going to get to see today. Yet they are still youth, and that is what amazes me the most. In these moments, I am motivated, inspired, and feel a sense of urgency to be the movement to end youth homelessness in Southern Nevada. On this day, they wanted some ice cream. We should never forget that these are youth, just like many of us were at one point in this room, who have experienced unthinkable circumstances that would defeat most of us. Yet, they were brimming with excitement, believing their voices were being heard. They were standing tall and proud, knowing they were the experts in the room, and hopeful and confident that they were driving positive impact and making meaningful contributions for themselves and others like them. Look at their faces. Look at their smiles. Look at their body language. You can see their authentic selves shining with excitement, happiness, and hope. It was so much fun to sit with them afterwards, sharing some ice cream and talking about funny stories from our past, our hopes for the future, and reviewing what we were doing together that day. The day was characterized during our discussion as for us, by us, where they, the young leaders, were doing something for them that was designed by them. For us, by us. I believe that was their source. I believe that was the source of their inspiration and their unofficial motto. They were the change agents leading the way for themselves and others that shared their experience. Thank you to these remarkable young people who are brave enough to let us in and be part of their magic. Thank you for letting me be part of such moments and for being the best bosses anyone could ever ask for. Thank you. The movement to end youth homelessness in Southern Nevada was launched at the first Southern Nevada Youth Homelessness Summit in November 2017. This community-wide effort is needed, as Southern Nevada has one of the worst issues with youths experiencing homelessness in the country. It is an effort to bring us all together, to attack youth homelessness from all angles, because we know that one provider, that one system or one sector of society alone cannot solve this problem. Rather, it takes all providers, all systems, and all sectors working together, and today is a representation of that. We wanted to bring more awareness to this issue to get more people involved, and more systems working together in a dedicated community effort to sustainably address this issue. By casting a brighter light on this issue, the movement created a sense of urgency to bring us closer together to explore the multitude of ways and factors behind why youth are experiencing homelessness, and to discuss strategies and solutions while bringing more resources to bear to double down on existing and new efforts. In this slide, you will see some examples of what we have done in collaboration with various community partners like the Las Vegas Interactive Marketing Association, Lamar Advertising, SANS, and so many more. We have digital and print billboards rotating throughout the valley, bringing more awareness to the movement and the issue of youth homelessness. This particular billboard you see on the left is actually one of the largest digital billboards in the world, which rotated the movement messaging, generating 2.7 million impressions per week. We also did significant digital outreach where the banner appeared in the middle, where the banner that is in the middle of the slide appeared on local and national highly trafficked websites like Yahoo, CNN, BBC, Dictionary.com, and even TMZ and many more. And on the right, you will see a movement commitment pledge that collected over 1,200 signatures to show our community cares about youth experiencing homelessness in Southern Nevada. The first goal after kicking off the movement was to develop a plan. Before we could start, though, we needed to gather all the necessary components to produce a high-quality, action-oriented plan. One of the first things we did was cultivate a cross-sector funding collaboration that included public and private dollars to fund the creation of the plan. We also wanted to bring in a national facilitator to help guide us with research and best practices. After a national search, TAC, or the Technical Assistance Collaborative, was chosen. We also brought together over 40 different local providers and organizations and created a multi-level cross-sector decision-making process to bring together and engage all the necessary providers, systems, and stakeholders. This ensured that we had the needed critical partners to drive the plan's development. This multi-level approach for the plan included a joint decision-making team, a working group, Southern Nevada's Youth Action Board, Young Adults in Charge, or YAC, and our Continuum of Care's Youth Working Group. Some of these groups met weekly throughout 2018, working hard on this plan. And lastly, the most important component was to ensure that we had the best experts involved, and those experts are youth who have experienced homelessness, ensuring this plan was youth-driven. Youth drove the development of the plan alongside all stakeholders and approved every element of the plan. They sat on all 4 groups that worked on the plan, including sitting on the highest leadership group, working alongside deans of universities, movement funders, local government leaders, and other funders and leaders. This was an incredible opportunity to ensure that the real experts, our youth, were engaged and influencing the plan's development. After nearly a year of working tirelessly to produce the plan, the movement's first goal was accomplished with the creation of the Southern Nevada Plan to End Youth Homelessness. Prior to this plan, there was not a standalone plan in our community to address and end youth homelessness. Quite simply, we cannot get to a goal if we do not have a plan that defines it. We needed a plan that acknowledged the reality and needs of youth experiencing homelessness, that considered all the moving pieces and systems that youth interact with, and that developed objectives, strategies, and goals that are measurable. We needed this so we all have a common definition on how to end youth homelessness, and have a North Star that we can all align toward and work with. The plan is a roadmap to reach a sustainable end to youth homelessness in Southern Nevada. You can see the cover of the plan on your screen. There we go. You can see the cover of the plan on your screen. We held essays and art contests for youth where we asked them to share their experiences through different mediums, and the winners were awarded scholarships. The winner of the art competition, a very talented young person, created this original piece of incredible art that you see on the screen to share with all of us, and is forever memorialized in the plan. One of the first steps of the plan's development was to create a vision and definition for success. The vision is, we will know when a plan has succeeded when our community's coordinated response system can ensure that homelessness among unaccompanied youth is rare, brief, one-time, and equitably addressed. Rare meaning that youth homelessness doesn't happen often. Brief meaning that if they experience homelessness, that their situation of homelessness is quickly ended. One time meaning that they never return to homelessness again. Equitably addressed, meaning there is equitable access and outcome for all youth experiencing homelessness regardless of their backgrounds and/or demographics. The plan includes a statement of need, 5 goals, 20+ objectives, 60+ strategies, and metrics of success. And I'm proud to say that over 20% of the strategies in the plan came directly from youth themselves. It is modeled on federal frameworks and best practices from communities across the country. The plan included the following strategy focus areas: legislative and policy work, fundraising, public-private partnerships, housing and services, and systems intersectionality. Also on this slide, you'll see another piece of art that was included in the plan, made by another young person. In fact, the plan also contains 2 essays written by youth, as well as youth artwork and quotes throughout the plan from all the different submissions we received. The Southern Nevada Plan to End Youth Homelessness was released last year at the 2nd Annual Southern Nevada Youth Homelessness Summit. Last year's summit was a memorable and historic day in our community where hundreds of attendees, local and national speakers, facilitators, and young leaders joined together to see the plan unveiled. And then, that very afternoon at the summit, the community joined breakout sessions to get to work on how they can be part of and contribute toward the plan's implementation. Yet again, I think the best part was that young people were integrated into every part of the summit. You can see on the picture to the left, we had a dynamic young person who emceed the entire summit, who has an amazing smile, by the way. We have brave young people who shared their personal stories to all the attendees to remind us why a standalone plan dedicated to youth experiencing homelessness is needed and so important. We had Young Adults in Charge, or YAC, lead the entire summit crowd through a Yaktivity designed by them, where the audience got to experience what it's like to be in their shoes. The City of Las Vegas's Community Services Department was a very active participant in the creation of the plan, including being part of the movement leadership team. On May 15, 2019, NPHY and the City of Las Vegas's Community Services Department jointly presented the plan to the Las Vegas City Council, where it was unanimously adopted as the city's response to youth homelessness. Now, I'm going to discuss some of the incredible progress our community has made since the plan was unveiled. Each of the bullets on the slides are strategies directly from the plan. First, create comprehensive youth-dedicated outreach with staff who are trained to respond to youth with complex needs. The community responded by creating our region's first youth-dedicated roving outreach team called the YO Team. This team is a collaboration between Clark County Social Services, Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth, and Help Us Southern Nevada, and is funded by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Another strategy was expand the Safe Place program. And for those of you that don't know, Safe Place is our community's mobile crisis intervention program for youth. It creates 24/7 entry points to services and help for youth at virtually every street corner in Southern Nevada, in partnership with Terrible Herbs convenience stores, the City of Las Vegas Fire Department, and the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada, which operates our public transit system. This year, I'm very proud to announce that both the Las Vegas Clark County Library District and Henderson Libraries, yep, they're in the crowd, came on board as new partners. Because of this expansion, youth can access 28 additional Safe Place sites at libraries throughout our community. Another strategy was to fund non-time limited, community-based housing for youth that operates with the housing first orientation. This is a very important goal for our community, and I'm happy to report that we have several different efforts underway to increase housing options in our community for young people. Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth is conducting a housing expansion campaign in partnership with SANS and the John Bon Jovi Soul Foundation. Clark County is utilizing marijuana business licensing fees to the tune of almost $2 million to fight homelessness in our community, including funding 76 additional beds at the Shannon West Homeless Youth Center. Clark County is also, yes, that's a big deal. Clark County is also working on funding additional upcoming homeless youth housing programs in partnership with all local homeless youth service providers. So our community was selected for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's initiative called HUD's 100-Day Challenge, which is meant to fast-track an important goal related to combating youth homelessness. This initiative aligned with the Southern Nevada Plan to End Youth Homelessness by focusing on two strategies from the plan. One strategy selected by the team was conduct outreach to potential landlord partners to encourage them to house young people. You can see part of the 100-Day Challenge team in the top picture behind me, as they worked hard over the course of 100 days to help homeless youth providers forge and grow relationships with landlords. Additionally, the 100-Day Challenge team responded to another plan strategy: create transition plans for youth who may be enrolled in multiple systems to ensure exit to stable housing. This team also helped strengthen collaboration between youth-serving systems, created care coordination between systems to better serve youth involved in multiple systems, including juvenile justice, child welfare, and youth parole, all in an effort to provide more streamlined and effective case management. And another strategy we made progress on is to create opportunities for young people to act as advisors, to provide recommendations for system guidance and more. And this year, YAC has been very active in community-wide efforts, speaking on panels, regularly attending and speaking up at youth working group and other community meetings, giving input to the creation of new programs, contributing to community grant processes, and so much more. You can see them in the bottom of the picture as they prepare to present their YAC handbook. Additionally, MPHY created a new youth leadership development program called MPHY Ambassadors. One of the program's components provides peer mentorship opportunities for youth to support other youth with similar experiences. I'm also very happy to announce that the movement and Young Adults in Charge advocated to get a law passed. Assembly Bill 363 was a bill that was signed into law by the governor during the most recent legislative session. Assembly Bill 363 was inspired directly by our young leaders who wanted to focus on eliminating financial and other barriers for homeless youth accessing an original or duplicate request of their ID or driver's license. As we all know, IDs are critically important vital documents for all of us, but especially for our young people who are trying to prove their identity to gain employment, to access public benefits, open bank accounts, and other ways to further themselves. Yet many youth cannot afford IDs or licenses. This bill eliminated all fees when requesting an original or duplicate ID or license. Further, it also eliminated all driver examination test fees. This bill also allows for social workers and educational liaisons to request these important vital documents for free on behalf of their clients, and allows unaccompanied youth to request on their own a record of their birth. This was an important first step in the movement's policy work related to the plan. Yet the best part about this important legislative victory is how youth-driven the entire process was. Young leaders were involved in the development of the plan. These same young leaders presented to the plan to our community. We then asked them what policy work they wanted to focus on, and they chose to work on eliminating barriers for accessing important vital docs. The movement, YAC, other young leaders, and national experts started collaborating to bring this policy goal to life. Young leaders provided input on the actual language of the bill and their ideas became the various provisions of the bill that I just described. Yak and movement leaders then worked on identifying a bill sponsor and began the hard work of advocating for the bill. They wrote letters. They visited the state capitol for one-on-one meetings with elected officials. They testified numerous times to the Senate and Assembly committees of our state legislature. They witnessed the bill work its way through the legislative process and watched as this bill became co-sponsored by every member of the state legislature. What an amazing experience for our young leaders to see that their voices matter and that they have the will and expertise to make impactful and lasting change, like passing a law for them and young people like them. They were in the driver's seat to see the entire process of creating and passing a law in our great state. And that is amazing. Again, we are so happy to have you all here today. And we're about to start our exciting tracks where everyone can learn and contribute toward making even more progress toward our plan's vision. The schedule of events is in your programs, yet let's do a quick review. After I'm done, there will be a short break for you to transition to the track that you're registered for, which all begin at 10:05. And just as a quick reminder, if you have, well, I'll get to this later. After the morning track sessions end, you will come back here for our lunch and our keynote presentations. Afternoon sessions will begin at 1:30, where you'll be returning to the same room that you were for the morning track to continue very important discussions related to the track, because we need your ideas, we need your contributions to make even more progress toward ending youth homelessness in Southern Nevada. And lastly, we return here at 3:45 for brief closing remarks and then a fabulous networking session. So each of the tracks today were carefully identified and prioritized, as they are all important strategies in a plan that the community has existing traction, interest, and excitement around. We are so excited to have you all contributing towards ideas and solutions that will help the movement implement these strategies. Track 1 is launching host home programs, reimagining existing community resources to fight youth homelessness. Track 1 helps advance the following plan strategies: pilot additional crisis housing options for youth, including host homes and respite beds, and pilot long-term host homes. This track is being facilitated by Point Source Youth, one of the nation's leading experts on host homes, and Clark County Social Services, who will help us implement this in our community. Thank you to Orlando, Heather, and Tavon for facilitating this track. Track 2 is creating a wider lens. Track 2 helps advance the following plan strategies: conduct an annual count of all youth experiencing homelessness under any federal definition, and identify uncaptured gaps in available data and create methods to capture needed data. This track is being facilitated by the National Network for Youth, the largest public and education and policy advocacy organization dedicated to the prevention and eradication of youth homelessness throughout the country, and the UNLV Greenspun College of Urban Affairs, an integral partner of the movement who devotes their human capital to further the objectives of the movement, and even recently hired 2 professors that will be working exclusively on youth issues in our community. Thank you to Andrew and Dr. Cook-Gregg for facilitating this track. Track 3 is the multitude of faces in different places, and I think you just heard them practicing a little while ago. Track 3 is a very special track. This track is entirely youth-created and driven. It will be an extraordinary experience for those of you that are registered for it. Our young leaders wanted to ensure that all the work in the plan follows 6 guiding principles. This track is responding to the number 1 guiding principle in the plan, which is being person-centered. Being person-centered is, sorry, I thought it was on the slide. The system to end youth homelessness will ensure that all system staff are trained in key principles, such as cultural competency and trauma-informed care, to ensure that the system is as welcoming, comfortable, and empowering as possible for every youth that interacts with it. Regardless of where they interact with the system, each youth should feel safety, security, and trust with each and every person. This track is ensuring that we are seeing and responding to each youth individually and acknowledging their unique circumstances and needs. It demonstrates how we need to establish trust and bonds with young people while empowering them to feel safe, comfortable, and included. This track was entirely designed and led by a collaboration between Young Adults in Charge, a leadership group of young advocates that is part of the Southern Nevada Homeless COC, which uses their voices to end youth homelessness in Southern Nevada, and MPHY's Ambassadors, which is a youth leadership development program at MPHY that is empowering youth to step into leadership roles and serve as role models to their peers. A huge thank you to all the members of YAC and MPHY Ambassadors for creating and leading such an educational, inspiring, and thought-provoking track that acknowledges your individual and collective might. Track 4 is Youth Homelessness in Higher Education. Track 4 helps advance the following plan strategies: expand programs to ensure housing affordability is not a barrier to higher education, and increase educational supports in secondary education to ensure more students experiencing homelessness graduate and continue to higher education. This track is being facilitated by the National Association for Education of Homeless Children and Youth, or NACE, which is a membership organization dedicated to ensuring educational equity and excellence for children and youth experiencing homelessness, and Clark County School District's Title I HOPE program, which works to ensure the rights of students living in transition and promotes sensitivity and awareness of youth experiencing homelessness in schools. Thank you to Dr. Havlick and Kelly Jo for facilitating this amazing track. So I quickly want to say thank you to a few people. I want to give a huge shout out to SANS and SANS Cares for underwriting the summit and being a founding partner in the movement to end youth homelessness in Southern Nevada. None of this would be possible without them identifying youth homelessness as one of our community's most pressing issues and devoting resources and human capital to combating it. A huge thank you to Ron, Randy, Mandy, Kristen, Stephanie, Josh, and Lisa, and so many others at SANS for all their contributions and behind-the-scenes work to make today happen and to be fighting homelessness on a constant basis in our community. Thank you to UNLV Greenspun College of Urban Affairs. They've been along the ride since the beginning, working with us on research, publishing briefs, and being very active thought partner in the plan's development. Thank you, Dean Ulmer, Dr. Cook Craig, and so many others have helped out. Thank you to the RJ for helping us get the word out to build more awareness about the movement and its important work. Quickly, thank you to Katie Miller from the United States Agency Council on Homelessness and Christopher Patterson from HUD for joining us today to share valuable information and their perspectives about what is going on at the federal level relating to addressing and ending youth homelessness. Thank you, Congresswoman Dina Titus, who will be taking time out of her busy schedule to join us later today to share her support and thoughts. Thank you to Congresswoman Lee and Senator Cortez Masto, who could not join us today, but are supporting our efforts. And a huge thank you to all facilitators today for educating and contributing to our local solutions. I want to thank all the volunteers from MPHY and Title I. And I especially want to thank all the staff of Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth. My coworkers go above and beyond on a daily basis to make magic happen for youth experiencing homelessness. There are staff back at all of our other facilities who are pulling double duty so we could be here with you all today. And additionally, I want to especially thank my coworkers Melissa Jacobowitz, Lynette Rivera, and Allison Steinzor for being the summit team that really pulled this event together, including working with all the facilitators, working alongside our young leaders, and dealing with all the nitty-gritty behind-the-scenes detail needed to make today a success. None of this would be possible without your critical leadership roles, and thank you. I also want to thank our young leaders for bringing us all together today, because we're here for them, but more on that later. And lastly, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today, and the entire community for being the movement to end youth homelessness in Southern Nevada. So we can all do our part to make sure every young person experiencing homelessness feels safe, loved, and supported so they can shine and share their authentic selves with the world. Remember the cover to the plan? There's a quote that is part of the artwork which reads, "Show me that there's love in the world, and in return, I shall take off my mask." I could not think of a better way to represent why we're all here today. We are helping to show that there is love. And in return, youth allowing us to work with them, like we are today, is part of the mask coming off. Thank you. Thank you so much. So this marks the conclusion of our opening session. Now I want to invite everyone to make their way to their confirmed track session. But before you go, you're going to be exiting to doors on either side of this ballroom. So not to the back, but through the sides. Now, if you're track 1, host homes, those of you wearing the blue lanyards, you're going to going to my right or your left. If you're in the data track, that is, if you're wearing yellow lanyards, you will also be going to my right and your left to find your rooms. And if you're in track 3, faces in different places, or wearing a purple lanyard, you'll be going to my left or your right and exiting out those doors. And if you're in the higher ed track or wearing a red lanyard, you will also be going out that way, my left, your right, to get to your sessions. So now we're going to have a short break with the morning track sessions beginning in about 15 minutes or so. They start at 10:05. So please find your way over there. And thank you again so much for being here today. We look forward to seeing all the progress and the great ideas that we accomplished today together. Thank you so much.